So we're given the problem 2 to the power of 2x plus 1 equals 3 times 2 to the x minus 1. So when given an equation to solve where the unknown is in the powers, sometimes we're going to look at using logarithms to bring the x down, make it easier to solve. Sometimes it's just about rearranging this into a quadratic or something else which is solvable. And in this case, because we've got powers in two different places, one on the left, one on the right, and because they're both the same base, 2, this looks like one where we're going to rearrange it into a quadratic. So to do that, I'm going to start with the left-hand side. Whenever we're faced with a power where there are two things added together, so the 2x plus 1 in this case, we can use our laws of indices to split that up into 2 to the power of one of them times by 2 to the power of the other. So this becomes 2 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 2x, and 2 to the power of 1 is just 2. We've now got our 2 to the power of 2x there. Another one of our laws of indices says that when we've got two things multiplied together in a power, we can separate these out so that one of them becomes a power of the whole thing. So 2 to the power of 2x, we can split the 2 and the x up, and that 2 comes outside as a squared. So we've now got 2 times 2 to the power of x all squared is equal to 3 times 2 to the x minus 1, which I'm now going to all bring together on one side, which is now given as a quadratic in terms of 2 to the power of x, which we can now look at solving. At this point, if it makes it easier, you can let y equal 2 to the x, for example, so you end up with just a quadratic in y. Some people find this easier to then work with. I'm just going to leave it in terms of 2 to the power of x, but it's the same rules. So we now solve our quadratic whichever way you like. I'm going to use factorization because this one factorizes quite nicely. We can see that we've got two lots of 2 to the x all squared. So one bracket must begin with 2 to the x. The other one must begin with 2 times 2 to the x. And it ends in plus 1, which means both our brackets must end up in 1. And because that's a plus, and because we've got the minus in the middle, we can see they're going to be minus 1 for each of them. So this factorizes into two lots of 2 to the x minus 1 times by 2 to the x minus 1. And if we were just to multiply those back together, you'll see we get back to where we just were. Now to solve this, if we set each bracket equal to 0, we can see that our first bracket gives us that 2 to the x must equal a half, and our second bracket gives us that 2 to the x must equal 1. So now we're really close to a solution. We just need to find values of x that will work for these. And they're both powers of 2, so this is nice and easy. So what power would we have to raise 2 to in order to get a half? Well, that must be 2 to the minus 1. So this will give us x equals minus 1. And what would we have to raise 2 to in order to get 1? Well, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So this would give x equals 0. So there we go. X is equal to minus 1 or 0. We've solved the equation. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Doing Maths channel or check out some more of my videos by clicking on the links here.